Hello and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. I'm Jeff, and guess who here? Who here? Who here? It's Richard.
Yeah.
Richard here. Guess else who here? Michael.
Howdy. Howdy.
The
Hello.
Frankenstein Tonto and
Yeah. Oh,
who was the
Frankenstein,
third one?
Tondo, and Tarzan.
Tarzan, yeah.
No, it's Frankenstein. Yeah. Fire good. Fire good. Okay, so yes, those are all performers who embodied those roles, imbued those roles with great pathos and dignity.
Boy, what a save.
Right?
I love the unwillingness to re-record that. And he swam right through it. He swam right through all the rocks in the way. He rode this river raft right over them and around these rapids into calm waters. Congratulations, Jeffrey. Amazing
Thank you very
work.
much.
Captain Hopkins.
There we go.
Thank you
Amazing.
so much. Dispatching my role in a believable way, hopefully, of host. But this podcast the topic is the Mount Rushmore. If there's nothing fill in the blank performer can do to make me think that they are a character in the film and not fill in the blank performer. So who gentlemen, who's chosen? Richard Manfredi.
No, that
Michael.
was mine.
Michael.
That mouth garbling topic is my choice. It was from an older list that we had going on one of our working spreadsheets, and I have no idea who made me think about it. So I had to kind of rejigger my brain and try to figure out who was the person that I thought of when I was thinking of this topic, because that's how it usually starts with all of us, right? We have one idea and see how it blossoms. But, I think there are some actors and actresses who are very good actors, but at the same time, boy, they are just, I can't unsee their face. I can't unsee their personality. And maybe each of these characters is just an aspect of their personality versus, I don't know. I mean, I think that we've had a topic in the past that was like best actors, full stop, but you can't talk about Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis was like, okay, he's literally a different person, figuratively, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Who else do we joke about in the break? It was
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep. Yeah. That yes, they wholly become these people and lose any sense of Daniel Day-Lewisness or Meryl Streepiness. And I don't know. I think that this is like the other side of the coin of this. Of these people who doesn't matter what they do, they are just them, no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's not really a knock against them.
Yeah.
It's just I can't not see them. I can't not see that person.
Yeah, I feel like that's true with Snoopy when he's in different movies.
Joe Cool. I mean, come on.
You're
what
not
is he?
the
Red Baron.
Well, let me ask you this. I guess we can discuss this in the realm of what our choices, but there are actors who are movie stars who are kind of always portraying a version of themselves.
Oh, I got to scrub something out and write my dad in here. Hold on.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
My God. He got beat up by Mannix or something like that. In a movie.
David Hasselhoff, wasn't it?
David
Hasselhoff beat the crap out of him.
Oh, yeah.
Thrown through a loosely stacked bunch of cardboard boxes or something. Okay, well, let's just jump in. So Michael chose it. So Richard, who's your first person who doesn't, but you don't believe it?
Yeah. First one's Jack Black.
Oh, yeah.
Great choice.
Jack Black is always Jack Black in every movie, pretty much every movie that he's in, whether it's a live action or animated film.
God, I'm kicking myself. Oh, what a great choice.
I mean, they hired him to do the Kung Fu Panda, and they basically drew him to look exactly like Jack Black, and then basically said, just be Jack Black.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think a lot of this has to do with if an actor has become so associated with a certain character or a certain type of character that now other people are looking for like a Jack Black type. Once you have become a type, you are no longer sort of an actor who is taking on new roles and putting on different masks and all that, the proverbial mask and all that. You now just become yourself.
Yeah.
And I know there was a long stretch of time where there was a lot of Jack Black types getting
Hmm.
movies, Dan Fogler and
Mm.
I don't know who else, but there were a lot of Jack Black types. Those sort of movies where you're looking for kind of the slightly overweight,
Hmm.
manic energy, lovable but kind of a pain in the ass sort of guy.
Yeah, I would even say that Chris Pratt came on the scene in entertainment as a Black type,
Oh,
Yes.
and
yeah.
Andy in Parks and Rec was a little bit bigger, and I think he began coppering some. He's a genuinely funny person. You can see in like the improv outtakes, but definitely some of the mannerisms of Jack Black. So
Yeah, and I said almost all because there is one movie because he's not somebody who's tried to do it. Well, he's done a few like I'm going to be more serious type roles.
mhm.
Surprisingly enough, they never actually seem to work out on in terms of box office.
Yeah.
The one I do remember seeing him in was a Richard Linklater film called Bernie,
Oh yeah, yeah.
about Bernie Sanders, where he played Bernie Sanders, which I thought was a real no. Did not play Bernie Sanders. He plays a small town
Oh,
mortician in Texas
yeah, yeah.
who ends up getting into this weird relationship with this cranky old lady played by
Hmm.
Shirley MacLaine, and he's great in it, and he really suppresses like 95% of the Jack Blackness.
Hmm.
So it's not that he can't do it. I just think he knows it's not as profitable for him to do that.
Yeah, I do feel for the comics when they take off the red nose,
Hmm.
they are often indicted. You would have to be pretty amazing. Even like I think the first one I was aware of as a young person was Bill Murray in Razor's Edge. Like he had
Yeah,
just done, I don't know, Ghostbusters 1. I forget.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like something, and he tried to do a drama, and or Jim Carrey in Unbearable. No, Spotless Mind, whatever the
Internal
Eternal
Sunshine.
Eternal
Eternal
Sunshine.
Sunshine.
Yeah, they don't always get. People basically say, "You're damned if you do either way," because they say, uh, "I'm getting tired of your shtick, funny man," and
Hmm.
they would always say, "Yeah, me too. I want to do a drama," and then you do a drama, and then they say, "Just go back to doing what makes us laugh." I was like, "All right, I'm kind of damned either way," but yeah, I remember loving Jack Black and then thinking, "Oh, how long is this going to last?" Because
Right.
the tricks that he has in his bag are pretty damn hilarious, but think I've seen them all. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very, very one note, his
Hmm.
comedic performances.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Uh, be interesting by the end of this chat if we have named a comic who is actually able um, to do to create comedic
Hmm.
roles that are have different kind of sensibilities to them as a performer. But Winfield, what's your first choice?
My first choice was Johnny Depp,
Oh yeah.
as someone who has such range of playing a crazy pirate to a crazy candy maker to a literal Mad Hatter.
Hmm.
He's always very, I don't know, maybe it's just the last half of his career where this sort of kind of manic, wild eyed, really not too subtle sort of character actor sort of thing has kind of developed where I don't know, I can't see him and not see Johnny Depp doing these things. And I think sometimes that happens, maybe it's a kind of a Jack Black type thing where you settle into these roles or you're always cast in these roles. But I think he has tremendous say in what he does and what he says yes to. I don't think he's a person that is like, um, I don't know, I need to pay for this house. So
Oh,
I
I
got
think
to
he
take,
is. I think
you
he's
think
got.
so? For,
You look all those bottles of Chateau Briand
Isn't
not
that like
being
his?
driven.
Isn't that like his own winery? So isn't it just like walking out the back door, just taking your own? It's like walking home with like post-its.
No, I just remember hearing there were a lot of stories in the entertainment
Mm.
press over the last year about how much in debt Johnny Depp is,
Well, I am
and
uninformed.
some of his ridiculous expenses. He's one of those guys who like charge, will fly a private jet to London because there's a steak restaurant he wants to go to. He's like one of those sort of guys.
Steak à poivre, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, never. But I don't know. I think
Welcome to Outback Steakhouse, Mr. Depp.
Would you like to try our bloomin' onion?
Wait, this is an Australian themed London steakhouse. So Michael, but do you think so we've talked about
Yes.
Johnny Depp, I think, here before, in that kind of in his work, at least with Tim Burton, he always plays the kind of the eccentric outsider who is largely misunderstood, who happens to be wearing a top hat for some reason, it seems. But we kind of think that he's evolved, and even his kind of eccentric character roles in like a J.K. Rowling kind of thing or stuff, those are even kind of one note, right?
I think they've definitely turned it. I think that just, I think too, I see that Johnny Depp is in something, and I imagine, oh, it's going to be this type of performance. I can't not see him as attached to it, and whatever, kind of baggage he brings to it. I think unfortunately that happens a lot with actors and actresses. You get a glimpse of like their social life and their private life, and then it's like, what? Now all I'm thinking about is that. I mean, I'm thinking about what his ridiculous kind of trial with his ex-wife was, and seeing like the very online people being in like favor of him, and that's like oh, all these creepy online guys like him. Well, now I'm thinking of that while he's dressed up in a rabbit costume or in one of his multiple, like you said, top hats.
Yeah.
And I think it's like sometimes people can't get out of their own way, and I think it happens with actors too.
You know what I think is interesting is a musician is never, unless you're somebody like Bowie or Madonna, a musician is never actually playing a different role. So we always love Bruce Springsteen when he's Bruce Springsteen. Like we want him to do that thing, and it seemed like, but I don't feel like we ever kind of indicted the Ramones or AC/DC for doing the same kind of thing each time. I wonder what it is about acting that makes that a little bit different. In which they seem like they're bringing more of themselves or their shtick than they are the character. Curious. Okay, Richard, what's your second?
All right, my second choice is Tom Cruise.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, man, mainly does smaller roles in indie films. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's now impossible for me to look at Tom Cruise and not just picture him jumping on a couch yelling at Oprah.
There you go.
That's just who he is now to me. And it doesn't help that pretty much at this point in his career, he's totally abandoned the actual actor part of his role, and now is just guy who runs away from explosions.
Yeah,
that's just who he is now.
Yeah,
and you could just see him straining. Did you notice that was me doing that stunt? That guy who jumped out of the helicopter and landed on the other helicopter? That was me. Me, Tom Cruise, the actor. That's all I can think of whenever I see him.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. And as he's aged, I've always usually the kind of last person to kind of buy off on somebody. Like I think maybe I've said this on the podcast too. I just checked off on Justin Timberlake last year. Like I'm the guy who just last year passed approved Justin Timberlake. Yeah, I guess he's okay. But like the one thing that I feel like about Tom Cruise is like maybe it's the flip the thing of what you just said. Like there's a bunch of guys getting $20 million a picture, but they're not all hanging from the Burj Khalifa or whatever, or they're not all free climbing, or they're not all grabbing onto the jet and putting it on the line like that. Maybe they don't have an ego that makes them take somebody else's job, i.e. stuntman, and make their own. But I think dial it back to just flash bartending in Cocktail or a race in a car in the Sound of Thunder or whatever that was.
Days of Thunder.
Yeah, Days of Thunder. So in a way, I kind of go, well, he's been around this long, and he seems to actually put his whole self into the thing. But that doesn't make you think he's anything other than Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
I think he always has a couple of spots in a movie too where it's just like a very Tom Cruisey type moment where like he'll be talking to someone, it'll be really intense and his eyes get real squinky, and then
Mhm.
he'll do a thing like turn around or turn like around,
Yeah.
and he has like a really like intense, curious, quizzical like turn around face in every movie. And every time it's like, well, that's a Tom Cruise intense turnaround, figuring stuff out
Yeah.
face where you don't trust somebody who you should have trusted, or they were supposed to be your friend, but then all of a sudden we're now in a thriller, and it's like,
Yeah.
and then that little Tom Cruise smile, and it's like smile, and it's a knowing smile. Tom Cruisiness.
And
Yeah.
he's still more fit than I will ever be in my life, but he does have a compactness that makes him look like a satyr or something like that. Like imagine Prince,
I love
like
that.
the horse part of his body kind of went away, or the goat part went away.
You never know. He's just walking around. He has just like this little flute,
Yeah.
this little pan flute that he's
Yeah.
always whistling with.
He jumps out
Uh,
of the airplane and his fake legs that he uses to cover his hooves fly off.
Michael Winfield, what's your second one?
I'd really love to choose my dad, but I'm not going to.
Oh,
What should I? I don't know. I mean, one, it would be hard because I see him as my as my dad. It would be like, who's that guy on the stage?
Huh.
Huh? I didn't know that.
my
He's wearing
dad
a
was
mustache for an upcoming production, and it's like, huh? Never seen my dad.
my dad was in plays when I was a very young man, and I remember him telling me how this was before I had done any kind of performing myself, but
Mhm.
he would tell me his plan for stealing focus and upstaging everybody that night.
I love it.
That was his kind of his nature was like, if you can steal focus and make everybody look at you even when other important things are happening with other performers, then you won acting. I won the play.
All for one. That one person being me.
Yeah, me. Yeah.
All right,
Winfield was there.
I'll go back to my choices. Samuel L. Jackson has never
Mm.
not been Samuel L. Jackson in
Oh
no
yeah.
matter what he has been in.
Yeah.
Uh, he's such an intense actor and has these big, intense eyes and just so loud and aggressive and angry. Uh, and just the camera is so drawn to him, but he's very much him in everything. It's, it doesn't matter if he's wearing like an eye patch or like a
Hmm.
crazy purple outfit or is getting eaten by a shark or
Yeah.
getting eaten by a dinosaur or getting what there's his he brings the same sort of intensity in the same thing, and
Hmm.
maybe those are the roles he chooses.
Hmm.
um I haven't seen him in something that I feel like has been just very loose and laid back in a long time. But I think that when you're trying to get, I mean, and now for the last 10, 12 years he has been nothing but uh you know
Nick
uh
Fury, pretty
Nick
much. Yeah.
Fury as the cold, calculated. It's like
Hmm.
this role. It feels like, oh, that's the what do you want to? You need Sam Jackson. That's a Sam Jackson role to just be
Hmm.
like that's just who he is, and I can't see him
Yeah.
as an actor. I don't know what he's like as a person behind the scenes. He's probably I don't know if he's like that, but he's
Hmm.
probably not. He's just this is something that he can turn on, but this is the thing that he specifically um, turns on. I mean, I guess I can
Yeah.
look at his IMDb and see really what.
Watching him play Stax in Goodfellas was a real shock. Like, oh, he's just kind of a low-level thug who has no power or
Mm.
authority. Like that was like watching that part. It was like, wow. And was he also, I forget what his role in, I think was in School Days, or um this was a Spike Lee movie. I forget which one, where he was
Do the right thing.
Do the Right Thing. Yeah, I think he was kind of a street person, so he wasn't in charge of anything or ordering anybody around. Seeing him play a low power character seems kind of bizarre because he
Yeah,
has so much authority normally. Yeah.
I would. All of his things. He's always like kind of intense, but always cool.
Yeah.
He's always kind of he's in control of uh, the character's anger and intensity.
Yeah.
Looking back at his last movies that weren't Marvel related. Shaft.
Yeah.
That is damn.
Hmm. Mace
Triple
Windu has
X.
Mace
Yeah.
Windu has some pretty authoritative things that he
Mace
says.
Windu is
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Okay, we are at halftime, and we're gonna say, hey, download, rate, and review past episodes. We really appreciate if you would. It helps us connect subjects we choose with our audience, which is you, and we would appreciate if you let us know through the format of Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. And spooky season's coming up. We'd love to do maybe some Halloween themed topics that you suggest. So let us know a topic that you'd like to talk about. I think we're in our 7th Halloween or 6th. Sure, I don't know. And we've talked a lot of different aspects of that kind of spooky season stuff. So maybe somebody out there has a fun topic they'd love for us to engage with and bring you along for the podcast. It's as simple as getting on a Zoom and that stuff and those things. And so now it's Richard's third.
My third choice is Vince Vaughn.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the way you
Oh
said
yeah.
That's an appropriate response to Vince Vaughn in 2022.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's hard for me because like most people, my first exposure to him was in Swingers,
Yeah.
which if you hear Jon Favreau talk about it, he basically wrote the part that Vince Vaughn plays based on his friendship with Vince Vaughn.
Oh, interesting.
It was essentially Vince. It was written for Vince Vaughn to play himself, but sort of
Mhm.
an exaggerated version of Vince Vaughn.
Okay.
So your
They
best,
never they never say I want you, but I want 10% of you. I
yeah,
want low key you.
Yeah.
Always take that up a little. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess it's hard for me because I know that story and I know that he's basically in a lot of ways he's playing himself when he's in Swingers, and then that created a persona that he's then proceeded to more or less make his money off of the rest of his career, whether it's
Mhm.
Old School or Dodgeball or The Breakup or whatever it happens to be. Um, this whole persona that he's built up that is based on an exaggerated version of himself.
Yeah.
So I just get the sense that he basically is the guy that you see on screen.
Mhm. Yeah. I saw him. I was on a Southwest Airlines flight. I think it was LA to Vegas. And I don't I've never heard I've never seen anybody more disheveled in my life. It was like
Yes,
he had somehow just fell out of the limo and like no luggage. Like he had the sense that whatever he needed, he was going to buy in the hotel gift shop when he arrived in Vegas.
Oh, I would love to travel like that.
Yeah, and it was funny to see also Vince Vaughn. I realize this is like name dropping and not actual commentary on the pick, but I
go
mean,
for it.
what I would say is in the movie of Life, he was playing Vince Vaughn, but also, um, I think unlike other movies, uh, he can't control the dialogue that comes from strangers to come up to him and want him to be Vince Vaughn or
Yeah.
sending Bloody Marys to his his seat, and like it was funny to see him out in the wild in an open open field where people could interact with him, and he had to kind of respond. And he didn't have any snappy dialogue necessarily, but he sure was Vince Vaughn and the whole time.
He needed a writer to help him out with life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw Vince Vaughn once in the wild at outside of a uh, Japanese bar slash restaurant,
Mm-hmm,
and he
mm-hmm.
was wandering outside to have a cigarette at like 5:30 in the afternoon, and he did not look good.
Yeah.
He looked rough for 5:30 on like a Thursday. I was driving to kickball, and I
Uh-huh.
had to park. There was like a mini mart that was attached to the Japanese restaurant, and I
Mm-hmm.
pulled in, saw him out there, and yeah, he looked like it was. I got the sense he had not just shown up for happy hour. He had been there a
Yeah.
while.
It's funny when we get a surprise that Mike Tyson beats people up
Hmm.
outside of the ring too.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, Vince Vaughn is an alcoholic. Okay. Oh, we don't know that he's an alcoholic, but he likes to tip one back. Surprise, surprise.
shocking to me. Yeah.
Yeah. An actor prepares. So Winfield, what's your third?
Halftime?
I thought we did the
We
halftime,
did
Did
didn't
we
we?
do
halftime.
halftime?
Because we
Yeah.
just took our spooky season. I
My
think.
goodness.
No,
My
no problem.
goodness. You're
No,
right.
no problem.
My third choice is Dwayne, in quotes, The Rock, end quote, Johnson.
Dwayne
Where,
Rocky The Rock.
Yeah.
uh, boy, is there another guy who I think it probably is just his physical nature, his physicalness,
Hmm.
that he is going to play these big, tough guy, cool, calm, and collected roles with an amazing, gigantic body
Yeah.
and a super bald, shaved head. I can't imagine him wearing a wig in any role going forward for the rest of his life. Is he ever gonna have hair again? Probably not.
Yeah.
But from his, obviously his wrestling background to his on-screen debut as a giant scorpion monster, to every role that he has really done over the last number of years, where he's an adventurer wearing some sort of khaki shirt with lots of pockets, to
Yeah.
another one where he's an adventurer in a khaki shirt and lots of pockets, to he's fighting a giant gorilla in a khaki shirt and lots of
Hmm.
pockets, or um, uh, love him. He is just The Rock. It's like imagining, maybe these wrestlers all will always be this way. It's just their physical nature. They are just chiseled into who they are. It's not like Hulk Hogan would ever be like um, anything else other looking like
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan. He's not pulling anything else off. He is The Rock. I figure just, and God bless him. He is gonna be that way, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm
And
not. I'm not pretending he's not. I'm sorry. Black Adam's coming out.
mhm.
It's The Rock in a superhero suit.
The way I almost feel like it's in a way we're criticizing McDonald's for not having a different menu. It's like,
Mm.
no, that's not the business model. it's when you show up, I'm the same thing that I was the last time you were here. Um, but yeah, um, were they to be surprised when people stop going to the movies because they haven't shown us something new? Though that's I think what we're criticizing. But I find that interesting. How what's funny is our last two picks were in a movie together. Was it Get Shorty or something like that? Or I forget. Wait, was maybe the sequel to Get Shorty? There was a scene where Vince Vaughn is kind of taunting The Rock.
Oh.
I forget what it was, but The Rock's job and that was to be kind of humorless and a guy who wanted to murder Vince Vaughn. And it's interesting because The Rock's on-screen persona now has plenty of kind of cleverness to it and a dimension. But I think in that film, I forget what it was that they.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, he was not. He was not suffering the fool of Vince Vaughn very lightly. But yeah, that's fascinating because, especially, we're kind of getting into some genre studies. It seems like when we were
Sure.
talking off mic about the skills of like Meryl Streep or like Daniel Day Lewis, they do a lot of drama and things like the Cruise, um, you know, Jackson, The Rock, Jack Black. They're either comedy or action, it seems. But yeah, the only thing I can think of, Jack Black being kind of around kids in School of Rock,
Hmm.
being another dimension, at least because he seemed to have some actually show some empathy for the people around him. But
You were right. It is Be Cool,
Be
the
Cool.
sequel to Get Shorty.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, what is your final choice, Richard Manfred?
All right, my final choice is Zoe Deschanel.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't.
Uh-oh. Am I picking at a scab here,
This
Jeff?
is like
Or
that poodle hat of a woman who just like, I just don't. Come on, just
I
stop.
just you need someone in the movie to sing cooingly and play ukulele to some
Yeah,
Pixie songs. That's your person.
yeah.
And that seems to be what she does in real life most of the time anyway. And I like She and
Mhm.
Him, the musical act. I actually like
Okay.
them. But poodle hat of a person is a pretty good
Yeah,
way to describe her, and that's certainly, I mean, if you need a manic pixie dream girl,
yeah.
that's your go-to choice.
It could be. just my life history coming back, because that's the girl I fell in love with most of my
Over and
life.
over again.
Yeah, the kind of the wrinkled vintage skirt and the rock band T-shirt, and she's riding a bike with a basket on it, to her job at the art supply store. It's like, oh my god, how many girls like that who I chased? Yeah, she's wearing a kind of a sweater. It smells a little bit like cat pee,
But in a
but
charming way.
in a charming way. Yeah, that was funny because was it 500 Days of Summer where she's the manic pixie dream girl, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, informs the audience that greeting cards are shallow. Like, oh, thanks, dude. Thanks so much for hipping me to that one.
Yeah, letting me know that. I haven't seen it. I've heard
Yeah,
mixed things about it. I know
yeah,
people who really like it, and I know people who are like, not for me.
yeah. I think it's almost like if Urban Outfitters did Annie Hall or something like that. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. Um, so I apologize for the first non-male performer to be introduced to this category, and I come at it with so much venom because it, obviously, Zoe, you're doing many things right. So, all right, Winfield, what's your final one?
My last choice is a weird guy and a weird dude and always plays weird roles, and it's just Ron Perlman. Will not
Oh,
always look
wow.
like Ron Perlman
Yeah.
Nice.
as a person, as it doesn't matter if you stack 3 inches of like red paint on him. If you strip him away and he's like naked or
Yeah.
looking like a lion creature and Beauty and the Beast, he is just Ron Perlman, and
Yeah.
he is just such an interesting looking human being, and interesting face, and he's just as an actor, he's just like, whoa, that's Ron Perlman for sure. Woo, he's gonna, and I don't know, maybe a lot of
Ron Perlman's outside right now, letting you
he's
know.
right.
He appreciates that.
He's honking at me, doing a lot of honking. But Ron Perlman, yeah, just this kind of gorilla looking person, just
Mhm.
like everything. He's just so
Mhm.
wild, and like you just cannot. I think sometimes you just can't, or I can't at least, uh, take that away. And I think that's probably his entire life has probably been spent
Mhm.
either being cast in roles that accentuate his physicality, or yeah.
Do you think that when the Planet of the Apes movies came out, Ron
Mm.
Perlman was pissed? Like, they gave it to Andy Serkis. I could have done that. I wouldn't have even needed the CGI. Think how much money I could have saved them.
It was funny. It was seeing him. Do you ever see City of Lost Children? Like, is your name?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
sure.
Yeah, him and that doing French phonetically was just so. It's like, achète le deuxième gratuit. It was like so funny. That was the most non-Perlman-esque thing I think I
Yeah.
saw him in. Because it's true.
But
I think
even
almost
that, he was playing like a big galoot, right?
yeah, Big Galoot. Yeah, and I think imagine like when you're a French director, you see this man. He's like a giant monkey. I must have him in my film.
He is Andre the Giant.
He's Andre the Giant. Yeah, he's like the Arc de Triomphe, but he can move around. It's amazing. Wow, that was the worst French. Okay, all right. Well, what a fun category, and we got to slag on some people who never
Love
think
it.
about us, and they all got millions of dollars. So,
Yep.
Take that peg, move down
yeah,
one whole peg.
yeah. So I think I definitely got to go with the I think the biggest perpetrator, and let's go with Tom Cruise, and also equal time Zoe Deschanel. Take that, and I got a soft spot for this because I felt like it was the first person I ever saw it come out. I didn't see it come with Jim Carrey for some reason. I thought he'd last forever. Jack Black, and then let's go with Ron Perlman. So.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, dudes. Thank you. For anybody who thinks our podcast is getting redundant, you can submit a topic and you can be part of this redundancy by joining us. So do that. This has been Mount Rushmore of There's Nothing blank actor in this film can do to make me think that they're a character in this film and not blank actor. I'm always Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.